Okay, let's dive right into Philemon chapter 1 today.
Right. And this isn't one of those sweeping theological texts. It's short, very personal.
Exactly. A letter from Paul, written while he's actually a prisoner.
Yeah, and he's writing to Philemon, but not just Philemon. He names Aphia Archippus.
And the church meeting in Philemon's house. So it's kind of semi-public, in a way.
Definitely. And the core of it, the whole point, is this appeal Paul makes about a specific person.
Which sets up, well, some pretty tricky relationship dynamics.
Oh, absolutely. And a surprising amount of grace involved.
So Paul kicks things off.
Mm.
How does he start? He praises Philemon, right?
He does. He starts with thanks,
Yeah.
acknowledging Philemon's faith, his love. He even mentions how Philemon has, quote, refreshed the hearts of the saints.
So he's laying groundwork. It's not Paul the Apostle pulling rank.
Not at all. He explicitly says he's appealing based on love, not commanding. It's about relationship.
And the appeal is about Onesimus.
Onesimus. And Paul's description of him is, well, it's quite the journey. He says Onesimus was useless to Philemon before.
Useless. Strong word.
But now, after meeting Paul, he's become useful, not just to Paul, who actually calls Onesimus his son.
His son, wow.
Mm.
While Paul's in chains.
Yeah, but also, crucially, useful now potentially back to Philemon himself.
And Paul's actually sending Onesimus back to Philemon.
He is, and listen to this language he calls Onesimus my very heart.
That's intense. Sending back my very heart.
It is, and here's where it gets really interesting. Paul says, look, I wanted to keep him here with me. He was helping me out.
Makes sense.
But he wouldn't do it without Philemon's okay. He wanted any favor Philemon showed to be spontaneous, not forced.
That respect for Philemon's agency is huge. It's not manipulation.
No. And Paul even floats this idea like maybe Onesimus was separated from you for a little while so that you could have him back forever.
Forever, but
Differently. Radically differently. Paul says, no longer as a slave, but better than a slave, as a dear brother.
okay, stop there for a second. In that Roman context, receiving someone who was legally property, maybe who ran away, as a brother.
It's revolutionary. It completely flips the script on social status, on ownership, based entirely on their new identity in Christ.
He says Onesimus is dear to him, Paul, but even dearer to you, Philemon, both as a man and as a brother in the Lord.
That dual relationship, human and spiritual, and then the core request lands. If you consider me a partner, welcome him as you would welcome me.
Welcome him as you'd welcome the Apostle Paul himself. That's quite the ask.
And Paul doesn't shy away from the practicalities. He says, look, if Onesimus wronged you, if he owes you anything, charge it to me. Paul puts it on his own tab. He even says he's writing this part with his own hand, like an IOU.
He's literally stepping into Onesimus's debt. That's embodying the gospel message he preaches, isn't it? Substitution.
Absolutely. But then Paul adds this little kicker, almost gentle, but so powerful. He reminds Philemon not to mention that you owe me your very self.
Whoa. So whatever Onesimus might owe materially, Philemon owes Paul his spiritual life, essentially.
It puts the whole thing in perspective, doesn't it? It reframes the debt.
Definitely. And Paul seems confident Philemon will get it right. He says he knows Philemon will do even more than I ask.
Yeah, he expresses real confidence. And he wraps up with greetings from others, Epaphras, Mark, Luke, Demas.
And asks Philemon to get a guest room ready. He plans to visit. He expects reconciliation.
Exactly. So, wrapping this up, what's the takeaway from this deep dive into just one chapter?
Well, it's obviously more than just an old letter. It's this incredibly potent picture of reconciliation.
And transformation. Challenging huge social norms, all driven by love and this shared faith.
You see this complex web. A prisoner asking a friend to take back someone who maybe cost him dearly.
But not based on that past or his status, based on a completely new identity, as family, as a brother.
So maybe the question that leaves for you, the listener, is this. How do you respond when faced with someone who's caused difficulty?
Right. What does it look like in your life to welcome someone, maybe setting aside their history or, their usefulness to you?
And instead see them and treat them simply as a fellow human, maybe even as a brother or sister.